Okay, today we are playing a game on Numbani. We are in the Bronze SR range, and we will be playing Mercy the entire way through. We are also on the console today, so consider yourself forewarned. We are also joining the game in medias res, as you may notice, because we're already fighting on the first checkpoint. So, let's just start. So we do have to finish capturing the checkpoint, which is about to happen. Don't worry, everything looks a little bit sketchy, but Soldier's going to use TAC Visor. There we go. Look at that. Everything's good. Problem solved. Genji did get rezzed behind us, so that's something to bear in mind. I think we catch a glimpse of him here as well. Yep, there he is back there with his Mercy. So we can't really do a whole lot about that personally as Mercy, but just, there were people back there. That's good to bear in mind. We didn't exactly hide out of their way or anything, but they didn't really come for us, so everything's fine. We do have a Farah, that's nice, so we don't have to worry about what the peasant folk are up to on the ground. We can just go and hang out with Farah. Generally, good thing to do when playing Mercy is remember where the Farah is, roughly, so that if you're ever in trouble, you can just go to the Farah to get away. Do the same thing if there's like a soldier or a widow, something like that. Someone who's going to be far away from the fight, basically. So, Farah used Barrage. Shit got bounced back at her from Genji, but she managed to survive, so good for her. Wasn't exactly a great Barrage, as we can see, nobody actually died, so could have gone better. Oh, no. Oh, just far enough away. Great, but our whole team's dead. We should not be going forward right now. Whole team's dead. We could have backed out very easily, but we've elected to walk forward with our pistol drawn. Not a good idea. That's interesting use of self-destruct. Did Diva actually try to body block him in the doorway? She should be. It wasn't really in trying, it doesn't look like. She should just, like, stand in the doorway, like, no. You're staying out there, my friend. But Genji died regardless, so it's okay. But, man, how mad would you be if you were trying to get through a doorway to escape self-destruct and Diva just stood in the doorway, arms crossed, like, no. You're staying out there. I'd be pretty upset about it. Unfortunately, both our tanks are dive tanks, so we don't actually have anybody that we can just kind of sit back with while all this is going on. We did just swing, like, real into the enemy team right here, and it looks like it was to get away from the Sombra, which, I mean, nope, well, I just heard Sombra uncloak after we already pushed GA. We didn't need to go up there, and there's a lot of bad men over there. The amplification matrix was pointed at us, but nobody was actually using it at the time, so we ended up just, like, GAing, like, way close to the enemy team, which is pretty scary. We also came, like, pretty far out over here, and there's no need to do this, because the thing we should be concerned about right now is healing the Hammond. And we can do that by going into the building on the left. We do not need to GA down the street. I don't think we actually noticed Hammond needed healing at the time. I think we were just going to Farah. Still not good, because all the bad men are over there. But we should have been concerned with with the Hammond rather than the Farah. And even if we didn't notice the Hammond, like, Farah was just, like, stood on the payload in, like, full view of the enemy team. So it's just a scary place to go to. So we've got Valkyrie built up again, that's nice. Junkrat apparently died in, like, a really interesting place, because there's, like, no platform there. Presumably his soul was just perched on the lip of the building, which I've never seen happen before, but hey, this is a well-made game. As we've seen by the fact that 3 years into its release, we're having to add features that should have been there the entire time. So this is not a very good idea. Because the entire enemy team is right there. They've got people with crowd control. One of them is looking at us right now. He does miss. Well, he misses and does it mad late, so we get away with it. But, like, all we did was, like, for ourselves in full view of the enemy team to res somebody that was about to respawn anyway in full view of the enemy team. We could have just waited for the Farah to get back and then just gone about the fight as usual, rather than using Valkyrie, like, way in advance of the fight starting and just, like, exposing ourselves and Farah as well, because she was, like, getting revived in, like, a pretty sketchy place, but hey, everybody got away with it. So, if you don't get punished, you don't have to learn. That's what I always say. Farah got hacked while using Barrage, so that's very fun for her. Now everybody's been emped, so it doesn't bother us that much as Mercy, I suppose. We can't use GA, but at least we can still use, like, both of our beams. Okay, alright, we can get away with that. I could see Roadhog hanging around the doorway, but he didn't actually, like, come over here. Farah has been hacked, so she's just stuck on the ground right now. We should be healing the Farah right now. You know, I'm glad we're not, like, healing people at full health right now, but, like, this person's just not at full health. Gotta pay attention to the person that you're tethered to, so that you can be changing to the heal and damage boost as necessary, while also still looking around and, like, doing all the other stuff, but... You know, a lot of people, like, damage boosting them, don't notice the person they're tethered to is taking damage. They're healing the person, don't notice the person they're tethered to is full health. Ooh, fuck. That's scary. Just, like, press down on the ground while using Valkyrie. But we lived. That was not a good use of self-destruct from the D.Va, but... It never is it? Like, you don't see D.Va use self-destruct very well most of the time, do ya? You know? It's one of those, I mean, to be fair, it's one of those ultimates that's not exactly particularly intuitive to use at the same time, you know. Something like Death Blossom, it's pretty upfront with what it wants you to do, isn't it? Self-destruct, just chuck it in there, see if it gets some kills, you never know. This is not a good res to go for. It is in full view of the enemy team, and there's nothing we can use for cover, because he's tragically just too far away from the corner for us to actually be rezzing him from there as well. So let's just appreciate, like, what a truly, like, biblically bad charge this one is, right? My man's looking at, like, the entire enemy team. He knows most of his team is dead. He's got Soldier here, but Soldier's, like, limping, trying to push his kidneys back into his body. And you know what my man says? My man says, whatever, dude. I'm gonna fucking pin them all right now. Oh, look, he didn't actually pin anybody, and even if he did, he wouldn't have actually hit them with the wall, so they wouldn't have died regardless. And look, oh, shockingly, Reinhardt's dead right now. Huh, I wonder how this could have happened. If only there was something he could have done to prevent this death, but, tragically, his charge was off cooldown, and as we know, if you don't push charge within 5 seconds of it coming off of cooldown, you just die, dude. You just die. So self-destruct just got lobbed past us again. Their D.Va's doing a pretty good job of building up ult charge, to be fair. Like, she's been using self-destruct pretty frequently. So we've used Valkyrie, and we're kind of like stuck in the doorway, right? Or in the tunnel right now. Not much of a doorway, is it? We are, like, real close to the enemy team the entire time we're using Valkyrie right here, which is, a little scary, but we got away with it, so it's fine. I respect that. I respect pulling out the pistol to try and kill this guy, but, like, dude, just tether to the soldier. Like, just tether to the soldier. He's getting shot at, he's not full health, he's in the biofield, but, like, if the Genji's decent, like, from that health, the Genji should have been able to kill him anyway. He didn't, as we saw, so that's great, but, like, from, like, half health in the biofield, like, the Genji should have been able to kill him still, if he was better. So it's just, like, tether to the soldier, man. This is the thing with Mercy, you know, is it's like the most efficient thing you can usually be doing is just tethering to somebody and, like, damage boosting them. Pulling out the pistol is, like, often not great. So we are damage boosting Junkrat while he's using the tire right now. Doesn't do anything. Tragically, can't damage boost the tire. Anything that spawns like a separate entity doesn't actually work. Can't damage boost Dragon Strike either. Used to be able to damage boost Dragon Strike, but they realized that that was not okay, and they changed it. So good for them, you know. It took them like a year and a half to get to that one, but it's taken us 3 years to get to roll queue, so you know. All I can say is, about the roll queue, like, thank God that goats became really popular, and Blizzard hates goats, at least in Overwatch League. Thank God. Because, you know, we've wanted it forever, but I am of the belief that, like, if goats didn't take over the Overwatch League, Blizzard wouldn't have done it, because they're just like, how can we stop them from picking goats, man? We can't. Like, tried to adjust a few heroes, but unless they were gonna, like, cripple half the cast, it wasn't gonna work. So it's like, what if we force them to pick 222? Then they won't play goats anymore. Problem solved. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason we're actually getting roll queue. I don't think the community outcry was enough. I think it had to be Goats. So thank God Goats was here to take the hit for us. So, our team have elected to start defending in a really bad spot. We definitely do not want to be fighting this far up. This is, like, ludicrous. This is like some week 1 fights right here. Like, fucking game launched. Yeah, this seems like a good place to defend from, right? Unfortunately, we're playing Mercy, and, like, even if we weren't, like... If your team's doing stupid shit, you gotta go do the stupid shit with them, because it doesn't matter if you're stood in the right spot. If your entire team dies while you off in the wrong spot, doesn't matter if you're in the right spot, they're just gonna come and kill you, because now you're in the right spot, but 1v6. So you kinda gotta go do the stupid thing with them, even if you really don't want to. And, like, we're playing Mercy, so, like, we really have to, unfortunately. So we are, like, floating in an exposed spot right now, because we got the Discord orb on us right now. And, like, I get it, like, you know, we don't expect people to hit us while we're using Valkyrie very much, but we could be hovering around a corner right now and be accomplishing the same thing that we're doing right now, while just not being exposed to the enemy team at all, and therefore, like, 0 risk posed to us. Because even if, like, you don't think they're gonna kill you, like, why even take the risk, right? Also, if they're, like, playing against, like, a lot of the hit scam heroes, like Soldier, McCree, Widow, like, they've got ults that can kill you, or they've only got to click you once to kill you. So when you're floating in Valkyrie, you've got to be, like, really conscious of if those heroes are on there, on their team as well, because just floating, like, high in the sky is generally fine, but if you're floating high in the sky and you're not thinking about, like, what the enemy team's got as far as their DPS go, you can end up just getting killed without time to get to safety. So, Roadhog was doing that. We should be, like, trying to get out right now. Like, as soon as this happens to Roadhog, I'm like, you're on your own, buddy. I'm leaving. Like, this is a scary spot at this point, and it looks like we were looking for Farah right there. We should have just been, like, backing out, dude. Like, as soon as that Roadhog gets walled off, I'm like, you're on your own, buddy. So we have found the Farah. We've made it to the Farah. You can tell we're in bronze, right? Because, like, we're doing this to begin with, right? Like, that's a bad start, but it's working also, which is the upsetting part. So we use Valkyrie so that we can res Farah right there. That's fine, you know, I suppose. Like, I'm mad about it just because of the position that we're fighting in, but it was, like, fine to res the Farah at the same time. I'm just mad we did it because of the position we're in, but that's not our fault, so it's like, you know, I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed. But in our team, mostly, because, like, it ain't like we as Mercy are fucking leading the charge to the enemy team's spawn, right? But it doesn't make me any happier about the fact we were there. Also, I've just noticed that our tank combo is Roadhog D.Va, which is one of your quintessentially bad tank combos, so that's very exciting. Shouldn't go for this res, we are doing it in the full view of the enemy team, not behind cover. If we had Valkyrie, it would have been okay. We didn't have Valkyrie either. It was checking none of the boxes for being a good res to go for. Just too much risk to us, personally. We're more important than that motherfucker that died. You know, like, we as the healer, the main healer, in fact, in this game, because we got Zen with us. Oh, good. Oh. Jesus Christ, excuse me. We as the main healer are way more important than that motherfucker that died. Now, that motherfucker shouldn't have died in such a stupid spot if he wanted to get revived, frankly. That's my outlook on it. If you wanted to be revived, then you should have died in, like, a sensible location. Or not died at all. That would be preferable, but, you know. So, Zen died over there. We couldn't res him. He died in, like, the open. We can't res these people either. They're too far up. Really, we should just be leaving. Because, like, D.Va... Like, pretty much from here, I'm like, D.Va didn't choose to leave right there. She decided to stop in front of the enemy team after using her boosters. Like, they're all there. she's fucking dead. I'm not gonna even try and look at her. I'm like, getting the fuck out of here. Like, she elected to stay over there. That's her prerogative. She can do whatever she wants, but I ain't having any part of it. We probably wouldn't have escaped regardless, but I'm not even gonna try and save Diva. I'm worried about my own fucking skin. Diva decided to stay over there. It's Diva's problem. Diva shouldn't have decided to stay in that stupid spot if she didn't want to die. It's not my obligation to try and save her. Just general thing with healers as well. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. Like, don't, like, risk your own neck to try and save someone who is doing something ridiculous. Like, people have this view of healers where you need to try and be, like, they think you need to be, like, really altruistic and try to help people. No. You should be as selfish as possible, because you're more important than that fucker, frankly. So, we lost that checkpoint. Zen decided to sprint up using Transcendence to touch the point that had already been captured. So that was a very interesting use of company resources. I didn't like it particularly, but it's what he decided to do, so tragically we can't stop him. As much as we wish we could have. Reaper went in 1v6 to die. Diva's all the way back here. We popped Valkyrie, I think, because Genji was using Dragon Blade. I couldn't actually hear the video, but yep, Genji was using Dragon Blade. Managed to res the... I like how we're spinning while we're doing the res as well. That's just a good thing to do if you're playing Mercy. Start spinning while you're resing someone. Makes it harder to get a headshot on you, which, you know, it's increases your chances of winning, and it's like, looks stupid as fuck, but does help, so it is worth doing. Harder to do on a console, because you can't, you know, fucking, if you're on PC, just like crank your DPI up to max real quick and just freak the fuck out, right? Easy peasy. Can't do that on a console, tragically. I feel like I've seen a special, I'm pretty sure it was like a custom controller, but I've seen a controller that's got like a switch on like the side of the analog stick that you can press along. Like, it's not really a switch, like it's not a binary 1-2, it's like a, I mean, it's a switch that's got multiple settings, basically. It like, wraps halfway around the analog stick, and you can use that to increase the sensitivity of the analog stick while you're playing. But I'm pretty sure that was a custom controller. But that's pretty fucking sick. Like, that, you know, that would be pretty sick to have all the same. Ideally, we just play on mouse and keyboard like civilized folk, but, you know, tragically, computers are expensive. I understand. This one was expensive, and, like, it's terrible now, because it's, like, 4 years old. So, like, maybe more than that at this point. It's, like, basically, in terms of technology, like, it's practically fucking, from the Byzantine Empire, you know? So, Mage just chucked Blizzard in. These people are pretty fucking dead. Oh, no, Zen oh, no, Zen died. Okay, I was like, oh, Zen managed to get out. No, still died. Alright, very sad. A risky res to go for just because they're closing in, but we were behind cover. So it ended up pretty much being fine. Tragically... Oh my god. Excuse me. Tragically, we resed Zen, and he just immediately used Transcendence, even though that was not a good time to be using Transcendence. Farah just killed herself, shooting the diva that was in her face, so that's great. We shouldn't be over here anymore. Like, that guy... Don't bother trying to save that guy. Just turn around and try to find somebody else to GA to. And, hey, looks like somebody was over there. Don't even bother with that Reaper. Like, that guy's fucking dead, dude. So, whoa. So, you know, there's a very scary situation. It would have been easier to GA to the diva, because then we can just swing through the doorway and get round line of sight. Instead, we GA over to Reaper's soul over here, which... worked all the same, so great. But it would have been way easier to just GA to Diva and get in the doorway instead. But hey, it worked, so yeah, it's all good, it's all good. Unfortunately, our Valkyrie's run out now. It's not looking good, you know. Oh, Farah? Nope, tragically not. So, I mean, everything's kind of fucked at this point, isn't it? We GA over to this guy. Unfortunately, this has taken us, like, really far into the enemy team to do this. We are next to, like, these two people, so that's scary, but it's pretty much, like, no good situation, right? Like, no good option in there, unfortunately, because Bridget Batista right here, so we GA over there, but then we're just like right next to right next to Orisa, and then they come over to get us anyway. Like, yeah, you're just kind of no good options kind of situation, you know. So now I've got to attack again. The enemy, they've got slightly more time than us, but by 27 seconds, so not exactly the end of the world. Far is still with us, so we get to still hang out in the sky, try and avoid being on the ground as much as possible. You know, ideally, you can kind of, like, hang out in the sky basically the whole time, and you can still, like, tether to people that are on the ground from in the sky, because Mercy's tether's got a 15-meter radius, 15-meter range, which is pretty high, so ideally, you know, we can just kind of hang out with, Farah and, like, avoid being on the ground as much as possible, which isn't that hard to do on Numbani because there's a lot of cover we can use even while we're in the air, or don't even think about it. We thought about trying to go to res that far right there. No. She died in a truly ridiculous spot. So we've gotten hemmed into this corner over here, but we can just tuck in behind Bridget and Orisa and they don't manage to get in. They've lost their Mei, so that's a good start to the fight, because we're actually all here at this point, because Farah's going to be coming back. So we could swing out from this spot right now. Like, we don't really need to be this close to begin with, but if we go back, Junkrat just ejected upwards. So if we look up now, we can GA up into the sky and hover up there instead of being down here where all the scary bad men are. We didn't need to be that close to our team in general. We could have been further back. Again, we got 15-meter range on the tether, so we don't need to be up there with the front line while they're advancing in. We can be sitting back 15 meters behind the front line, and it's all good. And then if somebody comes back to, like, get us while we're there, like Genji dives on us while we're further back from the enemy team, well, we can GA up to them if we have to, you know, rather than sitting right next to them. Because it also makes our GA less good if we're, like, right next to them, because we can't build up as much momentum, either. So rather than sticking, like, right next to them, we want to hang back a little bit more. You know, ideally we can hang out around cover, but tragically this point doesn't really allow for that. Okay, alright, very scary, self-destruct flying by. So we elect to res the Orisa right here. You know, it's fine. I'm just really thinking, like, I wonder if we would have had more chance of success if we resed Bastion instead, because there's always the possibility they just don't respond to Bastion appropriately, and he gets to kill a bunch of people. Less chance of that happening with Orisa. But Orisa's more likely to survive than Bastion is at the same time, so she could help, like, stall us out on the point more. It could go either way. Like, resing Orisa I don't think wasn't a bad choice. I'm mostly just like, I wonder if Bastion would have been the better choice in that situation, but you could debate on it. It's just like, if Bastion lives, he gets to wipe the team, but he's less likely to live than Orisa is, you know, is basically the point of decision. Anyway, we've captured the point, so it's great. Everything we do now is just, like, bonus, pretty much, because, like, hey, at least we won't be in the kind of position where we can't win, right? Because if we didn't get even the first tick, then that would be real fucking sad, because then you get stuck in the position where you can't win while you're defending. But we can win now, so that's nice. They have to actually capture the first checkpoint. Our team is, of course, going to go mostly bunker at this point. We've still got the Farah that we're hanging out with. I would rather just lean heavy into bunker at this point, just because, like, let's be honest, we're in bronze, right? Like, it's just more likely to work than anything else is. So, of course, our teams decided to come and stand over here again. Oh my gosh. Jesus Christ. Oh, Christ. Yawning. Oh, God, excuse me. Look over. Oh, God, we're, like, touching the enemy spawn. Oh, Jesus Christ. Why did we do this? We got away from the diva that was behind us, but we swung right in front of the enemy spawn to do it, which is, like, really fucking scary. I'd rather just, like, look over the edge and try to find somebody that's, like, less close to their team to GA to, rather than GA past the Pharah into their spawn. Because, like, just imagine, like, so many things could have come out of the spawn and, like, really fucked us up. So, right here, we half killed our... We're trying to fight this guy off on, he's on the point. Alright, Noble Endeavor. Ideally, like, someone on our team comes back to help us, you know? Like, we can just talk to this Pharah that we're, queued with and have her come over and help, but, like... We half kill ourselves shooting into Genji's deflect, so that's bad. And we're also just, like, inching up to touch him the whole time. This is only helping Genji. And it's not the end of the world if this guy captures, like, the first tick or something. Like, we don't need to come and fight this guy right now. We can wait and see if our teammates are gonna come over and help us instead. But rather than that, we go up to, like, single, like, solo fight the Genji, rubbing up on him, half kill ourselves. Like, no need to do anything that drastic. We can wait to see if our team is gonna come over and help. It's not the end of the world if they capture the first tick. Instead, we end up dying, so now our teammates are fighting over there without one of their healers. That's really bad. And, you know, there's no guarantee us being there changes anything, but at the same time, they were just down a person in the fight, so that's not good. The main mistake is our team being stood in a ridiculous position, but we can't do anything about that, you know. But from the position we were in, we could have done better than just running up to fight Genji by ourselves. Even if we just, like, sit further back and shoot at the Genji, that would be better to do than anything else, rather than going right up to him. So we try to get over to help because Pharah is using Barrage. That's fair enough. We cannot try to res this Pharah right now. We didn't need to GA to the Pharah in general. Like, we're in range to get the Pharah. And if we aren't in range, we're out of range by, like, 2 feet. Like, right, we could just step forward and tether to her instead, rather than GA up, because now we're right next to the enemy team, and we definitely can't try to res Pharah right now. That is such a risky play. And we didn't die, so that's great, but we, like, massively risked our lives, and then we resed Pharah just in full view of the enemy team, so she ended up dying again anyway, so that wasn't very good. We've built up Valkyrie, now we're contesting the point, because somebody's gotta. And things are not exactly looking good right now. There goes Reinhardt. Right now, dude, don't worry about that Reinhardt. Tether to the Bastion, he's gonna be the one that's drawing the bulk of aggro right now. Ryan's charging in, yeah, but he's full health. Bastion's sitting down next to us. Fucking tether to this boy. Make sure he doesn't die. Damage boost get the Bastion instead. Like, he's more important to us than Reinhardt is right now, because let's be real, the only way we're fighting these people off is through Bastion. Right here. Nope, right there. Bastion, more important than Reinhardt right now. Yeah, Reinhardt's, like, pretty far in, but, like, Reinhardt's fucking up. That's his decision to make. Reinhardt's mostly full health. He's got a shield. Bastion's sitting down next to us. Full view of the enemy team, getting shot at directly by Junkrat in critical health. He's more important than Reinhardt right now, and just in general, Bastion's kind of just more important right now than Reinhardt is. And, tragically, we don't win. Things were getting pretty fucked up by that point. So, you know, it's one of those games where we were unlikely to personally affect the outcome of it, because our team were doing, like, stupid shit, basically. We could have still played better, but, you know, we were unlikely to change the outcome of this game, but we might have done. Like, us dying right before this the first checkpoint got captured on this round was, like, pretty bad. And then at that point, we're talking about a fight where our team had a whole extra person in it. Who knows? Could have gone differently. But, I don't think so. It doesn't feel like we were going to change the outcome of that game, you know? So there was a question in the email. Hold on. There's, like, a big box of text in here, so I gotta find it with my eye again real quick. So, how much healing is it reasonable to excuse myself from as a Mercy duo? With the games I've been getting, I'm usually the closest we have to a main healer, sometimes also solo healing. I'm thinking I help keep tanks around half health, squishies up to 150, and always pocket the other healer anytime they need it. But the rest of the time I can fuck off in lesbian high. But rest of the time I can fuck off in the lesbian Mile High Club with Farah. So really, like, awkwardly worded question. So, you know, if you're the solo healer, it's really hard to, justify excusing yourself from healing at all, really. Like, you know, you gotta try and keep everyone, like, as close to full health as you can. Like, once a fight's happening, you know, especially if you're solo healing as Mercy, it's not reasonable to expect that to happen, but, when things are, like, neutral, like, before the fight has fully broken out, ideally we're keeping everybody at full health, rather than kind of, like, dividing it up like that. And then, like, that's pretty much the idea, is that, like, the tanks are less important than the squishy people on our team are once the tanks are, like, above half health, because the tank that is at full health or better is, like, still hundreds of health, right? Whereas the DPS that is half health is, like, within range of being one shot by ship at that point, so they become higher priority, with the other healer pretty much always being top priority. It depends on who you're healing with as to how much you can really get away with just hanging out with the Farah. Like, if you're playing with someone like Moira, who we were playing with during this round, like, if you're playing with someone like Moira, that's another main healer. At that point, you can expect the other main healer to be able to handle most of the healing, and at that point, you can just go off damage boosting people as much as possible. Like, if you see somebody nearby, like, somebody needs healing, you still try and heal the person, but you can just expect them to deal with most of the damage, so you can just go off and, like, damage boost people, but still, like, paying attention if you need to, like, help heal people at the time as well. If you're playing with someone like Lucio Zenyatta, like, they can't handle most of the healing, you have to deal with most of the healing, so it's, like, your job at that point to try and keep everybody full health. And, yeah, it's not reasonable to expect you to be able to do that once a team fight's actually started. At that point, you need to decide who's more important at the time, unless you've got Valkyrie, in which case, you know, you're tethered to everybody pretty much, but outside of that, you need to go through the priorities, but, like, if you're solo healing, you can't really justify just hanging out with Farah that much. Ideally, like, we're still hanging out in the sky with Farah, because we can be hovering in the air at the same time. Like, the benefit of Farah is we can still try and take advantage of, because we can be tethered to people from still pretty far away, so it's not that hard to, like, fly up there with Farah, look down, tethered to people while you're hovering, and then, like, heal them when they need it, and then just, like, go back to hanging out with the Farah. So, being able to keep track of a lot of things is helpful in this situation, because ideally we're up there still with the Farah. Avoiding being on the ground, just because that's where the dirty common folk are, and we don't want to hang out with them. They're fucking uncouth. They're gonna try and shoot us and shit. If we're in the sky, they can't do that. Fucking flightless nerds down there. Anyway, so it pretty much depends on who your other healer is, if you have another healer, as to how much just damage boosting Farah you can do. And tragically, if you're playing with an off healer or you're solo healing, it's really hard to justify it. Like, it's really hard to justify it. People are going to be taking damage a lot, especially if they're standing in ridiculous places like we were. I mean, our team was, right? Our team was standing in ridiculous places. We have to go stand with them. I'm not saying we were in ridiculous places, but we were playing with our team tragically. So, you know, it's the best we can do, unfortunately. So, yeah, pretty much look at who your other healer is, and then decide how much you need to prioritize healing based off of that, pretty much. Moira, Anna, Batista, you can justify just playing Mercy as an off healer at that point and spending a lot of time damage boosting, but solo healing, off healer, you know, Zen, Lucio, Bridget, can't justify it as easily, unfortunately. So, there you go. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I answered your question from the email inadequately, please let me know and I will try to expand further. If If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I've started streaming on Twitch Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 8 PM EST till midnight EST. There's a link to the channel in the description, and if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future, and I hope you found the video helpful.